has graciously given us some of his time. It's a huge week right now. It's, of course, Law Week, so let's go ahead and bring him into the fold. Chief Justice Phillip Carbullido. Chief Justice, thank you very much for being here tonight. Half a day.
Well, thank you, Jason, for giving me the opportunity to come in and just speak very generally about tomorrow's address that I will be giving.
All right, and given that address, without maybe giving the horse away before the cart, of course, we don't want you to basically say the whole thing right now, but what will be is there an overriding theme, or are there like key points that you're hitting on?
Yeah, of course I want you to attend so you can listen to the details.
Absolutely.
But there are general themes that I feel that are important to bring out before the leaders of government who we are dependent in terms of our resources for us to operate. Some of the themes that I will be addressing tomorrow, which really, is a discussion over a course of 1 year in terms of the aspirations and the challenges of the judiciary. One of it is that despite the economic challenges that we face in government and overall in our community, we'd like to point out that the judiciary remains a organized, dependable and efficient organization through the use of technology and proper planning. We feel that we've come a long way to address our mandates despite the lack of resources. I think also a very important theme, and one that I constantly try and emphasize whenever I have the opportunity in these type of forums, is to point out about the importance of the judiciary to the economy. We are all concerned about the economic development, and I constantly, at every opportunity, harp that the judiciary is very much a part of our infrastructure, like water, power, the utilities, the education, Department of Education. The judiciary is a very important component to maintain law and order, to resolve disputes, and when businesses come in wanting to invest, they want to come in an environment where they feel that if they've been wrong, that they have a proper system to redress that wrong. And so I believe that the judiciary is part of our infrastructure, and as a result should have the same level of priority as in terms of our health, education, and welfare priorities that our government seem to always give that high priority.
Very true, and that's something that's an angle that maybe not a lot of people would consider, when considering exactly the role that the court system plays in the island.
And the address tomorrow will give me an opportunity to continue to develop that argument, so to speak, and hopefully try and persuade some minds and to try and see it in that way in terms of how potential investors looking at where they would like to come in and invest, that is a factor to consider. And also, I think we should not forget all the good work that the therapeutic courts have done in the past few years. The legislature has been a strong advocate and supporter for our therapeutic courts, our drug courts, our mental health court, and now our newly established DWI court. So I think some discussion of the successes of the therapeutic courts is in line in terms of this address. All right.
Now converse to your role as the head of the judiciary and overseeing the vision and the direction of the island's court system, what are some of the environmental forces perhaps working against the court and some of the challenges that it faces as as you and your team continue to go about your work and everything, and how will you touch on that in your speech?
Well, I think the major obstacle which runs is common throughout our government, not only in our island, but also in the jurisdictions across the United States. It merely comes down to resources. We continue to have increased case filings. We continue to have mandates to satisfy delivery of service to the people of Guam. But at the same time, we don't have corresponding increases in resources. And so that makes it very difficult for us to satisfy the mandates that have been imposed upon us by law. And so that's the major challenge is just the resources to address all the demands that are expected of us.
Okay, now very quickly, because we're running out of time, I do want to touch on the topic of allotments, because generally speaking, how important, and obviously they are very important, but how important in your mind are allotments to the distribution and the administration of justice in the community?
Yeah, it goes to the very survival, really, of any branch, any government entity. If you think of it this way, that to begin with, from the very beginning in terms of our budget, we are already at a reduced budget. When we went before the legislature for our 2012, fiscal year 2012 budget, they slashed about $3 million from what we requested in terms of what we felt was a bare bones budget. So on top of that, if you are only going to give us 40 to 60% when we already started in a shortage, we just are not able to operate. We can't pay vendors. We're going to have difficulty keeping the courts open. We're not going to be able to pay our employees. And so it's extremely important that we receive the allotments that we're entitled to under the budget, so we can meet payroll and properly meet our expenses. So it's extremely important in terms of our operation.
All right, and certainly this and several other themes will be discussed during your address tomorrow. Mr. Chief Justice, thank you. Well, we got to go to commercial break, unfortunately, but
right.
but you know, we will, ladies and gentlemen out there in TV land, we will be broadcasting the Chief Justice's State of the Judiciary speech and also streaming it live on our Facebook and KUAM.com, both of those pages, so make sure to check out our websites for time and how to stream those. Well, stay tuned, because we will be back right after this.